everyone, and welcome back to our podcast, Keeping It Together. This is a podcast that is Indigenous focused, and we look at wellness and resiliency throughout COVID. Today, we are joined by Jarret Twoyoungmen, who is a filmmaker, and today we're going to be discussing film and filmmaking. Jarret has been involved in some really amazing projects, which have generated both national and international attention. Jarret, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me, Bridget.
Of course. Jarret, do you think you could tell us a little bit about who you are?
Yeah. I'm Suknor Tangamani Imangyapchano, Yiskaha Shawayachano. I speak Stony fluently, and my Nakoda name is Walking Coyote. And it's a long process of getting that name. I never actually thought that I would get that ever. And I'm from Morley, and I grew up in Morley. It's a res. It's 4,400. What was it? 4,500 people population over there, I think. Yeah, where I'm from, it's like different, and that's where it's isolating as well. And that's where all the daydreams come in, and you'll discover who you are, and some of them still lost identity. Yeah.
Well, if there were not that many filmmakers in Morley, what kind of introduced you to this job?
Uh, there's the animators came in for a youth program. It's called Quick Draw Animations. They actually showed up when I was working for youth, and I was chaperone that at that time, and I've been doing youth work all my life. And so these guys showed up with their gears and their computer laptop and cameras, an old camera. And then they just set it up and then start making cartoons. And the animation just make a plasticine or claymation. They just move around a lot. And then it was so fun. And so me and my cousin actually hugged it. We didn't actually let the kids play it. We played it. And so we just tried a whole bunch of toys everywhere. And then we just like kind of like did whatever we can, and we played with it. And then suddenly, one of the animator, she's my friend, still is. And she asked me if I want to write a script. And so I said, all right, I can write a script for you. And so I did write a script for her. And well, at first she set that storyboard. I have no idea what a storyboard was. And then I'm like, and then she explained to me, and then she just draw some pictures, pictures. And then she just like, and I said, that's a comic book. I said, no, it's a storyboard. It's a storyboard. And I said, no, that's a comic book. Well, it's like a comic book. No, it's a comic book. And so that's how I did. Like, I love comic books. And that's how I actually written my story into this little uh, storyboard that turned to a story. And then I talked about this mouse is turning into an eagle. And then that's when um, she loved it. And then we actually got everything, the parts and all the characters, and then we just made this little mouse to have his journey to become an eagle. And then everybody loved it, and then they want to send it to a film festival and in Winnipeg, and I won first place. And
This
then
was
I
your first film that you ever
yes,
created, and you
yeah,
won first place at a film festival.
yes,
Oh
yeah.
my, wow. No wonder you became a filmmaker. It makes so much sense. I mean, I find filmmaking so interesting because I could never imagine doing it. Like, I think it's a really difficult job, and I know that my little brother, he he's actually at school right now, becoming a filmmaker. And when we're watching movies, movies have also been a big part of my growing up. My family loves watching movies. It's like what we do together a lot of the time, and it's mostly because of my little brother, because he's so interested in movies. Like, his room is just absolutely covered from ceiling to floor in movie posters. He worked at
Oh,
a movie theater, so he was able to get all these free posters from all
uh,
these movies. And so he is just constantly um, introducing us to new movies that we have to watch. And while we're watching it, he'll be looking at it and he'll be like, this is how they filmed this. This is how they did this. And this is how they did this. And did you see that cut? Did you see that? So, moving on, I wanted to ask you a little bit about COVID for you and the pandemic, because that's really the focus of this podcast. And so, I wanted to know how that filming process changed for you once we moved into lockdown, and how did that impact your creative process when you were producing these films or making these films?
we were gonna do some traveling to place across Canada to film the interview some comedian people about what's the difference between native humor and non-native humor. So that was the thing. That was a goal that we were supposed to put in. That was on pause because the pandemic had hit,
Right.
and yeah, a lot of things that just went on hold on my career. Like even APTN just like canceled on me. Like, hey, we can't let you come in because there's a pandemic. And so it kind of like pause, which I thought that's great. So I don't have to go anywhere and I can just stay home. But it's more terrifying just staying home. And then I hope I won't catch it. And so I did my best to not catch it at all. And I did not went outside or anywhere. I just stayed home. Like I didn't go anywhere because it's one of my worst fears. And so we had to order our food online. And yeah, it's just changed everything. And I did not think going out was a safe place. Even it's just a nightmare for me. It's terrible.
Yeah. I wanted to talk to you a little bit. You were mentioning that film that you were making, the one where you were interviewing different comedians. That one's called The Original Laughter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little bit? Let's talk about that. Talk about how that changed. And I know that it is now made, so it
Mm,
did end up happening. But
hmm
what changed with that? You weren't able to go and travel like you had hoped anymore. So how did you guys adapt?
So our producer, Leanne, I forgot her last name. So she wanted to know what we can do, and then she suggested she was watching this show called Tiger something on Netflix.
Tiger King.
Tiger King, yeah.
Yeah. That was a big COVID show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so she mentioned that, you know what, we can actually do something like that. I'm like, what the hell is a Tiger King? I've never seen it. What's it about? And then, oh, so this guy actually did this on the computer, and then everybody just like interview each other on back and forth, just like what we're doing now. And then I think it was really good. Do you think that might work? And so me and my cameraman were like, that could work, but sounds like a lazy job, like a really lazy job. We talk to people, and we don't have to set up any lights. We don't have to set up any sounds. and then they really want to get it done, and so we're like, all right, let's do it then. And so that's how we did it. With safety, we don't have to travel anywhere, which was sucks. And I was so disappointed that I been wanting to do that, like traveling and then film people and talk to. And so we just like grab whoever we could, like famous indigenous people out there as possible. So
Hmm.
that's how it worked out for us on camera. And then we did actually ask them to direct for us. Can you direct for us so you can just so we want some B rolls on your stuff and around your house, stuff like that. And then they're our camera people, and so they did it.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. And also, congratulations on your film Tibi, which is now playing at a film festival. Which film festival is it playing at? Or is it multiple?
Multiple. It's
Multiple.
multiple. It's playing in it. It played in Vancouver, L.A.,
Wow.
Regina, Chicago, and I think I heard it's playing over at the overseas in Finland. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, I think I forgot a few, but that film is traveling everywhere,
That's
and,
amazing.
and we did that during COVID. Yeah,
Yeah. Let's talk about that a little bit.
yeah. And so the reason why I call it TB is because we call it home. And if we say TP, that means Kabirtje. That's our language. That's the way we say it. If there's a TP village, like yeah, that's Kabirtje. And then if we say like, oh, like where's home? Like where's Tibi? Watigan, yeah. So that's there's difference between our language. And so I want to educate people how we say it. And
Right.
because it's not always the same, like all the indigenous people in the world, not all of them are the same at all. So
Yeah, absolutely. Could you give us a little introduction to the film? What exactly is it about? For people who haven't, watched it or read about it, give us a little synopsis.
yeah, like I said, it was supposed to be meant for TP versus houses. It's like it was back then that we actually lived so much better and we were more exercised and more healthier and more grounded, as in like we're living a circle. And because in this TP we live in a circle and all of us get along, and then the house is more like they have corners and then they have doors. Everything's just like you have to shut yourself down, shut everybody down all you want. It's like that's one of the most unhealthy environment people are living in today because depressions it grew, loneliness, and all these negative that's happening to them. Like you don't know what's happening to your daughter when they lock, or your daughter or son when they lock themselves in the house or in their room. Like even they want to come out if they're actually their sexuality and stuff like that, and they're not comfortable. Because in a TP circle, everybody talk about everything that they actually share everything. You can
Hmm.
just talk it out. But now today, living in the house is not so much
Yeah.
because the colonial existed and still it is. That's one of the things that I want to talk about in the film, but it didn't turn out great. But it did actually talk about the TP, what it was like, and then what we had to like pick, what we had to like um, what it's like to actually have these TP posts. But it was more like when I was calling some people, like can ask us, like, hey, can I actually? I want to harvest some TP posts. Can I actually get that done? And they're like, okay, you have to sign this paper, you're gonna have to like call us, and then on this time, on specific time. Oh wow, all these work that I had to go through, and then I realized, um, okay, that's a much challenge because we can't go to the Kinenaskus to pick up the poles anytime we want, and we have to call them first, and and if they gave us a permission, then we can go and get them, and that's the weapon I realized. And then there's a lot of things that it's processing while I was doing this. I was filming this, and so I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should just like talk about that, or I can talk about. I went to the White Museum. I was working for them during COVID too. Yeah, I forgot about that. The White Museum in Banff. I was working for them to make little short films here and there. And I realized there's like TP Village they talked about, and then all this footage that I saw, and then I just asked them, "Hey, can I clip all this footage?" And they said yes. So that's how everything just forming together, the Tibi. And then you know what? I'm gonna use all these forms. I mean films, footage, the old ones and new, and then maybe having Elder talk about the TPs, how it was back then.